Good morning, Broncos fans, and welcome to another Legends of Mile High podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Hall, and today we are going to talk about a newfound enthusiasm for the Broncos team and enthusiasm for the Broncos ownership and what they're doing for the team, putting in a new field. That's, second time in 2 years that they went and revamped the field so that players hopefully will be safer on it, but at the very least, they're making an attempt. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about the enthusiasm about the Broncos. Now, I know it's a long season. There's plenty of season left to go, whole back half of the season. But right now, the Broncos are getting some buzz about maybe going to the playoffs. I mean, they've won 3 in a row, and they seem like a different team. So why shouldn't we be enthusiastic about this team? Well, we should. And I wasn't earlier in the season. I was not enthusiastic. I was ready for them to tear this whole thing down, get rid of many of the players, start over with just a handful that were really a future part of this team, and suffer a couple seasons that are rough and get back into this thing. But right now, I've changed my mind because one, the Broncos have won 3 in a row, which is good. They are really 1 to maybe 2 games out of the playoffs right now. I think if they can win the next 2 weeks, they are probably going to be maybe the 7th seed sitting going into the 3rd week after this game, right? So when the Broncos win, which it hasn't been in a very long time, it's time. You got to be enthusiastic, right? You have to be happy about it as a Broncos fan, regardless of whether you wanted to tear it down and lose every game and get the first overall pick back in week 3 and week 4. That was fine, but now it's different. They're not going to do that. They are trying to win. It is very plain to see that they have turned this thing around with a new attitude. They dominated the Chiefs. I'm going to stick by that. I know people think I'm crazy. They dominated the Chiefs. They went into Buffalo and won, which was tough. Tough to go into Buffalo and win. That Buffalo Bills team was a desperate team. They had to have that win if they wanted to stay in the playoff race, and the Broncos beat them. Now, yeah, there were a lot of mistakes. 12 men on the field gifted them the win, all that, yada, yada, yada. I understand that, but they still did it. They still went in and won, and winning ugly is better than losing pretty. So from my perspective, going into this Minnesota Vikings game, and if they go in and win it, this team is back in it. That's just all there is to it. And, if they lose and they come out and they end up with a losing season, fine, but embrace it now, right? Embrace it right now, because this is fun to watch the Broncos win. We haven't seen it in a very long time. So all I got to say is let's be enthusiastic. And then on top of it, be enthusiastic about how the ownership is really embracing what they need to do for this team, right? They can go out. They don't have to meddle in the operations of the actual football team. They don't have to meddle in how they go out there to play every game. They don't have to meddle in who they want to trade and not trade. They're going out there and putting their money into this team, which is what it needs. A new field. You have a new whole practice facility, all this stuff. That's what the ownership should do. So I'm kind of enthusiastic. I was a little bit nervous about, the Walton family coming in, and knowing what I know about Walmart and the inner workings of the Walmart method and things like that. I thought, well, maybe I hope they don't run it like Walmart, because you can't run an NFL team like Walmart, but they're totally different when it comes to this Broncos team. So I'm enthusiastic about the ownership as well. So again, let's have some fun for a while, because it hasn't been fun in Broncos country for several years. I want to say good morning here to a few folks in the chat. Jeremy Sean, I appreciate you being here, Jeremy. Thank you so much. Jeremy says, morning, Thomas. I think the most unquantifiable thing about this team is their newfound toughness and resiliency. Sean Payton has brought the Parcells mindset, which has been missing this last decade. You're absolutely right, Jeremy. There is a newfound toughness or resiliency, winning attitude, whatever it may be, whatever you want to call it. And I pointed out several weeks ago that this Broncos team, the starters, it was a bunch of starters in there that had not experienced a winning season for their career. Like their whole career was more losses than wins, and many of them never had experienced a winning season. And I thought the only way to change that is to remove some of that and bring in some new, fresh faces to kind of change that mentality. But from my perspective, they've changed it, right? I get it. There are still 8 games left to play, and it's going to be tough for them to dig their way out of the hole they put themselves into early. But I think that Sean Payton and these other coaches have brought in a winning culture, and these players have found a way to win. The Buffalo game, they found a way to win. I'm sorry. I can't. I know that people can be, the Buffalo Bills gave it away, and they kind of did, right? But they still found a way to win that game. They did just enough. There were players that, like Cortland Sutton, that beautiful catch, that touchdown catch. Russell Wilson, that scramble to get the ball to him. That was huge. And they played poorly in other spots of the game. So you could point, well, Sutton was bad. Well, they did just enough to win. And that is a winning mentality, right? Doing just enough to lose is not. And they've had plenty of that. So, Jeremy, you're right. This is a new mindset. I'm actually buying into this team now. When I was like, no way it's going to happen. So thanks for coming in this morning, Jeremy. Appreciate it. David Youngkin's coming in saying, morning, Broncos country. The field should be state of the art. Sean's leadership has taken hold of this team and turned them around. Yeah, I'm anticipating this field to be really wonderful, right? I mean, they spent the money to go out there and fix it. And, if they did it for player safety, even more kudos to this ownership group, because that's the biggest thing for this Broncos team, staying healthy. I'm a little bit nervous now that Ben Powers is struggling with some injuries. There's a few injured players. I mean, last week there was, everybody was a full participant that was on the injury report, which was only 2. So now they had some injuries. But you think about it. Look at the game last night. Joe Burrow out. Cincinnati Bengals have lost some major talent now, depending on how long he is out. Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews, he's out. This war of attrition, so to speak, going through the NFL, these injuries that happen really resets the level of talent. And if the Broncos can stay healthy, that's going to be huge. And if the field helps them to do that, then this ownership group needs to have even more kudos sent their way, because that is huge. And I hope that Ben Powers' injury is okay. I hope that he is able to play soon, maybe not this weekend, but staying healthy, the Broncos can make some noise, especially when other teams are starting to lose some of their key players, and playoff teams like the Bengals were in the playoff hunt. And if they lose Joe Burrow for a significant amount of time, they may not be any longer. So I really appreciate what they're doing. I really appreciate what they're doing. It's one of those things where you just, you have to just tip your hat to what's going on. Dominic Martin coming in saying, hey, Tom, mile high salute to my Broncos family. Sunday night, we'll just see how enthused the Denver Broncos really are. Have a great day, Broncos family. Mile High Huddle for life. And per usual, go Broncos. Thanks, Dominic, for being here. Thanks for the nice sentiment, right? And yeah, we will find out more about the Broncos on Sunday night. Are they going to sit back on their 3-game winning streak and just be happy about it? Or are they going to go out there and play like they really are that team that needs to get back into it? So let's see what happens. Bronco Land's coming in. Good morning, Thomas. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And Keith Brugman's in here this morning. Thank you, Keith, for being here. The Broncos are here to win, just like Thomas and Legends of Mile High. Well, thank you so much, Keith. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a long time since I've been able to have fun with the Broncos, and I'm having fun now. And I'm not going to be apologetic for it. Even if they start to lose again, at least we have a short window where we can have some fun. So thank you for that, Keith. And Michael Ronquillo, of course, coming in this morning with Facebook book stars. Thank you for the support. Really, really appreciate it. He's saying, good morning, Thomas, on Legends of Mile High. Go Broncos. All right. Now I would, this show's in the morning time, and usually, coffee is in order most of the time, but I'm going to just give you a little bit of a reminder about Little Caesars, right? Little Caesars is the official sponsor of the NFL and should be part of your game day, really. I mean, it's pizza and Sunday night football. It's going to be amazing. Have some Little Caesars pizza. You can order online during our pizza pregame, 1 hour before and 3 hours after NFL kickoff, plus all day on Sunday. And get ready for some football and fun with Little Caesars Pizza, man. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can choose your toppings in Little Caesars. When I was young, I used to get the extra sauce on my Little Caesars pizza. I haven't done that in a long time, but I always thought it took it up a little bit. So, that's the way to go. Put your own toppings on there, or, you can just order whatever is there. But everybody wins, really, with the convenient delivery or Little Caesars in-store pizza portal pickup. So grab some friends and enjoy some slices during the game. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me talk about Little Caesars Pizza. I know it's not football, but it goes hand in hand. And we got Dominic Martin come back and say, winning is winning. The defense is solid. Why our offense doesn't capitalize on every possession is the big head scratcher. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Dominic. They need to start clicking on all cylinders, right? I think the special teams play night and day difference than what has been in the past. So you got to give them credit. You got to give the defense credit for turning it around. They're playing significantly better. Offense is starting to falter a little bit, but I also think that you got to understand some of these teams, like the Bills team, were desperate. They were playing great defense, better than I think they've played in a long time. So I think the Broncos offense, it's the back half of the season. They should start getting better in Sean Payton's offense. I think you'll see more from the offense than what you've seen recently, right? I think you're going to see it start to come around. You're going to see Russell Wilson starting to play a little bit better. That's my feeling on the whole situation, that, let's see what happens in the back half before we start to pass judgment on the offense and Russell Wilson, because I think it's going to get better. Troy Booher coming in. Thank you so much for the super chat, Troy. The support is always welcome. Thanks for being here. Troy says, hey, Tom, glad we get backup QBs, but only after having tape on them. Hope we can make hot reads this week with the D coming in. Have a great show. Yeah, that's a thing. That's what I was talking about. Injuries, you never know, right? You never know what is going to happen. And look, I would rather the Broncos be completely dominant, can go out and just dominate teams with all of their starters in. They're not there yet. They need a little bit of help. And sometimes that help comes in someone getting injured. And I mean, like when I was looking at the schedule with Cleveland Browns coming, I was like, that's a game that's going to be really hard for the Broncos to come out victorious. It's a pretty solid defense and a pretty decent team. Well, they lost their starting quarterback, which kind of evens out the talent level, right? The Browns may falter and fall out of the race because they've got to have a backup quarterback in. Now, I know that you got to beat the best to be the best, but as the Broncos are learning this system and getting better and continuing to improve, it is nice to have a little bit of help to get some of those wins, because they messed it up early in the season. They just did. Those first two games, they messed it up. Had they even split those games, I'd be a lot more confident about them getting into the playoffs. So I don't know, man. It's one of those things to me where a little bit of help, in different ways to get some wins when they weren't expecting it, fine with me. And then you never know what happens, right? Get into the playoffs, you never know. So I really appreciate the support, Troy, and I really appreciate you being here. And Gabe Rocks is coming in saying, I think Buffalo was more fortunate that it was a close game, not the other way around. Yeah, it could have been a huge blowout, Gabe. You're right. I mean, it was the Broncos didn't do anything with those turnovers. It was pretty rough to watch that. It should have been a huge blowout, but they still won, and that's what's important. So, yeah, thanks for coming in this morning. All right, we got Belinda Ray coming in. Say good morning. Good morning, Belinda. Thank you for being here from Facebook. Really appreciate that. And, Michael Ronquillo is reminding everybody to how much money that they actually spent on the field. 250,000 on a new field after spending a bunch of money last season to upgrade it. So that's um I got to give kudos for them. That's it. There's a lot of money to spend. You didn't have to do it, and they did it. So it's awesome. We got Money Moore coming in saying, okay, how do we score 1,000,000 points and hold the Vikings to -4? That's a good sentiment. I don't know. You can't, I just want. I mean, I'm predicting that the Broncos are actually going to have a little bit of offensive firepower this game, and they're going to score some points. I predict they're going to get 31 points this weekend against the Vikings. I know it's a wishful thinking. Maybe my enthusiasm is going a little bit above and beyond what it should be, but yeah, it's really just the offense picking it up. I mean, the defense is doing their part, special teams is doing their part. If the offense can get something going, get a little bit more of a running game going, Javonte Williams hopefully can get over that century mark. I thought he was going to do it last weekend. Get some of these receivers even more involved. Russell Wilson getting his timing down a little better. I think they can score some points. So at home, with the Broncos crowd, the Broncos fans, maybe that's the ticket to really getting them to start hitting their stride. But yeah, we'll have a pregame show on Saturday. Ron White and myself, Orange and Blue View. We're gonna have a pregame show. I've got a bunch of stuff that I researched to figure out. Here are some areas where the Broncos can really attack the Vikings. So, and it'll be out in an article as well. So you can either read the article or you can watch the show and get some of those bits of information of just how the Broncos can go about business. Now, whether they do it or not, that's a different story. Jason O'Neill, thanks for coming in, saying good morning, Thomas. Well, Broncos have beat the Bills, and now I can look at this team with a renewed sense of vigor. Just need to keep winning. Thoughts on Dobbs and what we should expect? Yeah, I mean, that's like what all I've been talking about this morning is be enthusiastic because the team is winning, right? They beat the Chiefs first time in 16 games. Then they went out and beat the Bills, which was another team that they hadn't beaten in a while, and they won on Monday night, which is something they hadn't done in a while. So, let's be enthusiastic about this. And, even I know it's hard to be like, oh, I wanted them to tank and get the number 1 draft choice, but that's not going to happen. So now it's time to turn around the attitude. And you can always change your mind, right? I mean, they were rightful so. It was rightfully so that we were down on this team early on. Now it's not time. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to get from Dobbs, right? He's playing really well. It's a great story. He's not Kirk Cousins, like he's not at that level, but they found a way to win. Minnesota Vikings are hot right now. I think they've won 5 in a row. So that's I think the Broncos need to make Dobbs beat them, right? I think he with his arm, like they need to let him shut down the running game, take everything away from him, make Dobbs beat you. And whether he does or he doesn't, I'm not trying to knock Dobbs, but he's not an elite quarterback. So if you have to win with Dobbs' arm, I think the Broncos have a much better chance. So yeah, that's the way you gotta put it on, make sure it's on his shoulders and not the running game for sure. Paul Swallows coming in. Good morning, Broncos from Spokane Valley, Washington. Yeah, I love Spokane. It's beautiful up there in Washington. That whole northeastern Washington and that northern Idaho. Just a beautiful country out there. So thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. And then we got Leroy Williams also coming in with a mile-high salute. Are there any other tight ends out there? Because the ones we have aren't getting the job done. Russ needs a tight end threat to make this offense more effective. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm really with you on this. The Greg Dulcich situation is a bummer because he's the guy that they're anticipating to be that threat, right? That receiving threat, and he's injured all the time, and the rest of them aren't doing it. They did bring in Luke Skrull. He got, he didn't do much this last weekend, but you can see he's an explosive player. So maybe that's the guy. I don't know. I don't think there's any tight end out there that's going to make any bigger difference than what they've got. They're really just need to hope that Dulcich can come back soon and not get injured again. So that's the biggest play is hoping Dulcich comes back and not injured. But you're right. I'd like to see a dynamic tight end out there for Russ to throw to. That's a missing piece in this offense for sure. All right, I'm just checking the Facebook here, making sure I'm capturing all of the support coming in from Facebook. So I appreciate everybody in here this morning. We got Miguel's coming in with some Facebook support. Thank you so much, Miguel. Appreciate it. Saying, good morning, Thomas. Besides the Browns D, is there another D that can top a defense Denver already played? Yeah, I mean, I think that the Browns defense is going to be the biggest test. I mean, they're a really, really, really good defense, right? I think they're one of the best in the league, really. As far as pass defense goes, I think Detroit's a solid defense as well. But yeah, I think the Browns right now, the Browns defense is going to be the toughest that they have faced all season and will face because they're just a good defense. But again, if the Broncos can capitalize on them, having a backup quarterback in there, a low scoring game and do just enough to beat them, then so be it. That's how you win. So, yeah, I don't think there's another team that has as good as defense as Denver. So it's going to be a good test. It's going to be a really good test. But right now, I'm worried about Minnesota. I hope that the Broncos can take care of business and then go into meet Cleveland and who knows what's going to happen there. So yeah, definitely good question though. Thank you so much, and thank you for the support as well. All right. So we are enthusiastic about this team, and we should be. And we should be enthusiastic about this Thanksgiving weekend, right? It's going to be fun, man. I love Thanksgiving. It's coming up. If they can get a win with the Vikings, and we can all go into this Thanksgiving weekend with even higher hopes for the Broncos, and then come out the other side and see them tackle the Browns. It's a fun time. It's a fun time in Broncos country. But let's talk about spicing up Thanksgiving, right? Are you ready to spice up your Thanksgiving? As we dive headfirst into the mountain of mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce, let's talk about the unsung hero of the holiday season, the Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. That's right. It's time to go cold turkey on your old razor and take care of your own turkey leg with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Visit manscaped.com and use code HUDDLE for 20% off and free shipping. And enjoy Thanksgiving in style with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Gobble, gobble, boys. So yeah, go get your Manscaped. I mean, it's waterproof, so you can groom wet or dry. And let's face it, we all want to look our best before carving the bird. Plus, the LED spotlight ensures you don't miss a spot, even in low light situations. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code HUDDLE. Be thankful for this holiday season with the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. All right, let's get back to talking a little bit of football, a little bit of Broncos. Any questions we got in here? I really appreciate this banter back and forth. Now, Jeremy Sean's talking with Troy in the chat, saying it must have been talking about Randy Gregory and Frank Clark. I don't know what this is all about, but I do want to hit on this. So Broncos country was screaming for changes. And it feels like they made some changes, some additions by subtraction, so to speak, right? When Randy Gregory was just, his heart wasn't in it. And Frank Clark seemed the same way. And they got rid of both of those players. They got something from Randy Gregory. So when you move some of that, kind of negative attitude off of the team, the positivity can start to flow a little bit better. Now, I'm not trying to knock either one of those players. They're good players. And I like I said, Randy Gregory on a contender like San Francisco, going to have some impact. But this team needed a change, and it wasn't getting rid of your best players. They held firm. They kept Jerry Jeudy. They kept Cortland Sutton. They kept Garrett Bowles. All these players that we thought maybe they would trade at the deadline, they didn't. But they did trade Randy Gregory before the deadline and release Frank Clark. And the change has been pretty evident. So that to me is a sign of Sean Payton realizing, what is happening within this team, the negativity, the losing, and started to fix it. And it wasn't a teardown. So I was very hesitant about Sean Payton coming in. And I didn't know if he was the guy to do the job. I jumped on board and I said he could do it. He's got the thing. But after the first couple of weeks, I was like, yeah, I'm out on Sean Payton. But you know what? He made the right changes. He's gone out and did what needed to be done. And I mean, it's getting rid of Randy Gregory after they spent so much money on him. That's a big move, and they did it, and I think it's paying dividends. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with Sean Payton right now with what he's doing with this team. He's changed this culture right now. It seems like he has changed this into a winning culture because last year or the year before that Buffalo Bills game, Broncos would have lost, but they came out winners. So I really appreciate that change and what's happening. And you know, he could have stood pat with Randy Gregory because of the contract. Jonathan Salway coming in. Browning is a massive impact on our defense. He was at the game before, you know, the Chiefs game. He definitely was. It was weird that the Broncos didn't get any sacks on Josh Allen. And I thought for sure that Browning would be able to kind of get to Josh Allen. But yeah, I love Browning. And I think this, you know, the back half of the season, he's going to get some sacks. He's going to get some pressures. He's going to make some impact. So I think it was a huge win getting him back. And that's the thing I was talking about, getting people healthy. I mean, right now on their injured reserve, right? There's 3 people that can come back from injured reserve. So really, technically, they only have 5 players on that injured reserve list that aren't going to come back. And a couple of them are starters. A couple of them were started. Caden Stearns was a starter, right? And so he's missed. I'm just hoping PJ Locke can come back, but you're getting Jackson back from the suspended list. I'd rather see Jackson in there than Delaren Turner-Yell. Turner-Yell has struggled when he's been out there. So getting these people back at the right time really is a huge boost. And Browning was part of that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what Browning does the rest of the season and hope he can stay healthy. Mike Edel coming in with a big time super. Thank you so much, Mike, for being here. Thank you for the support. It's always appreciated. I love the show, but you know, it's nice to have some support as well. But I'd talk football with you guys anytime. Says, good morning, Thomas. I look at all the players they got rid of and have done nothing special. So that had done nothing special. So good decisions. Go Mile High Huddle. Yeah, absolutely. Those 2 players, they weren't doing anything, right? They had the talent. They've had the talent their whole career to do something, but they weren't for the Broncos. And I really think it was Randy Gregory was just tired of losing. You know, he just doesn't seem like the type of guy that, you know, he would rally people and get them to winning. So, you know, getting rid of Randy Gregory was big. And Frank Clark, I don't even think he really tried. He came on the team and I didn't see anything from Frank Clark after having, you know, just won a championship and was very, very, you know, good in the playoffs and getting that team into the championship. And he just came to the Broncos and just was like, I don't really care. And that's what it seemed like. And that type of stuff needs to be moved off. Like I said, addition by subtraction, those were the right players to move on from. We got Dominic coming back in saying, hey, Tom, I saw a video of Mims telling fans Russ doesn't throw the ball his way. Did anyone else see that? Yeah, I saw it. I don't know what that meant. Yeah, maybe he's a little bit upset, and he should be, right? He should be getting more targets, but you know what? It's not Russ's fault. Yeah, when he's in there, maybe he doesn't throw to him, but he's not in there enough. He doesn't play enough snaps. You know, he's huge in the special teams, so he should be happy that he's making a very big impact. I don't think the Broncos, you know, had they not gotten those returns from Mims, I don't know if they won that game. Those were huge, even though they didn't do much with those big returns, right? It kept the field position well, got him field goal range, that kind of stuff, you know. So I think it's huge, and he should be proud of that. He shouldn't be worried about whether or not he gets the ball when he's out there or not. But I just don't think he's been played enough. I think he needs to get more snaps. I mean, more snaps comes more targets and comes more receptions. And Russ is having a difficult time finding that open receiver right away. He's got to scramble around. So if Mims wants to get the ball, he needs to work on the scramble drill when he's out there, right? Russ starts scrambling, get open, find an open spot, because that's when Russ will hit him. And I hope he's not disgruntled. He doesn't seem to be the way he's playing on special teams. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye on going forward for sure. And we've got Ashish coming in saying it is just great having 3 young edge rushers who are all productive and cheap. Top edge rushers are making north of 25 million. Good job, George Payton. Absolutely, right? I mean, I still have a little bit of I don't know, animosity, I don't know, for George Payton trading away Von Miller. So I'm a little bit sore about the edge rushing group. But yeah, he's got a good one in Baron Browning and adequate ones in Benito and Cooper. I think they will need to eventually upgrade that position a little bit. I like Cooper, great story. I like Benito. I just don't think they have that full game, that impactful edge rushing game that the Broncos really need to kind of take that next step. Great players though, great rotational pieces, keep them around. Great in, they're good starters. I mean, they're solid, but they're just not impactful enough. And that's what you need from your edge rusher. They may get one in this draft. Maybe they're going to go out and get this draft. I actually think this is one of those, I would say, probably opinions that people don't like with some of the needs that the Broncos have. I actually think that, if they want to build for the future, they need to look at that left tackle position, draft a left tackle early, and maybe move on from Bowles in the offseason. And Bowles is having a good season, don't get me wrong, but the rest of this offensive line is relatively young. Bring in a left tackle that they can grow with. In a couple years, you're going to have a different quarterback back there, have that kind of offensive line and quarterback grow together. But they may look at edge rusher too early in the draft. So it is nice, though. It is nice to see that they were able to kind of replace a legend. Not totally. I mean, his impact is incredible. Von Miller, I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, so it's hard to replace that. But, they've done a good job getting, second rounder, seventh rounder. Baron Browning's a third rounder, relatively inexpensive right now. So, but Baron Browning will probably get paid some pretty good money. So I don't know how long they're going to be cheap, but it's one of those things that they do need to improve upon. David Youngkin coming in saying, have a great weekend, everyone, and stay safe. Thanks, David, for coming in today. I'm sorry if I missed some of your comments. I'm here by myself. I'm running the show all by myself, so it's a little bit harder to keep up on all the comments, checking Facebook and all of that. But if I missed any of your comments, I apologize, David. But it is a great sentiment. Have a great weekend, and everyone stay safe. And yeah, I mean, I've got family coming in for Thanksgiving. We'll be here next week. So we're preparing for the arrival of a bunch of family. But if you got to travel or you're, going somewhere for Thanksgiving next week, yeah, definitely stay safe, but have a great weekend and enjoy this. Hopefully Sunday Night Football is going to be enjoyable for Broncos fans. So I'm excited for this weekend. It's funny because I haven't been excited for Broncos games in a while, and now I am, and that's good enough for me. I'm glad I'm excited again. Pearl Heater's coming in with the sentiment for Vaughn. Love Vaughn. I was upset when they traded him. I was too. It's just because I know I understand why they traded him. They for some reason didn't have him in their future plans. They went and got something for him, and he went out and got another Super Bowl ring. That's great, but there's something about keeping around those stars. I mean, Von Miller was the Broncos from 2011, right? Got a they don't win that Super Bowl without Von, Super Bowl 50. It seems weird to get rid of somebody who still had some, he had gas left in the tank. And I think had he not had that freak injury in 2020, that really crazy, weird injury right before the season started, that was going to be his best year, man. He was in shape, ready to go. I think it would have been massive, and I don't know if they would have gotten rid of him had he had that big season in 2020, and still, they still would have saw it. But yeah, it's a bummer. So, oh well. And Michael Ronquillo's coming in talking about the Marvin Mims comment. Marvin Mims said he was having some fun with Broncos country before the game and said, chill out. And when he said Russell wasn't throwing to him. Well, that's good. I didn't see that, Michael. So thank you for coming in and clarifying that, having fun. Mims doesn't seem disgruntled. I mean, he's out there playing his heart out, and his time, his receptions will come. He's going to be the focal point next year. I think Marvin Mims is going to probably be the number one wide receiver next year, the focal point of that offense. He just needs a little time to grow and get better and get more on the same page with Russell Wilson. But like I said, if he wants to get some targets, be really good in that scramble drill. That's the one thing that I have had trouble with the Broncos wide receivers is oftentimes when Russell Wilson's scrambling, they're not really getting open. Sometimes they are, but oftentimes they aren't. So really, I mean, Marvin Mims, I think he'd be huge at that. He's elusive. He can get out there, get open, and man, you never know what's going to happen after that. And Isaiah Stacks bringing in the minors level, saying we're going to have to pay minors, and they should. I think that if they're going to make a choice, they should pay minors. Let Cushenberry walk. Minors has been one of the best guards in the league so far. I am confident in saying that. And you can look at the grades or whatever. I've watched him play. There's been some struggles. Of course, everyone has an issue now and again, but he's been a solid player for this team. They should pay him and keep him around. And the reason it really solidified my opinion of that during the Buffalo Bills game, that offensive line struggled with penalties and, struggled with missed assignments. And he didn't. He was the one that was consistently good throughout that entire game. No penalties, played really well. When everything else is going bad around you, you stay consistent and stay good. That's it's a tough thing to do, right? And he did it. And so I'm all on board with minors. They need to pay him, keep him around, and that will keep Powers, who's still relatively young. They're going to get a young center. Maybe it's Forsyth will be the young center. Minors, McGlinchey's a little bit older, but still young enough. And then they just got to address the left tackle for the future, and then they're going to have a nice young team on that offensive line to really grow and blossom. All right, Michael Ronquillo's coming back in. Thank you so much, Michael, for the support, Facebook stars. I really do appreciate that, Michael. Saying great show today, Thomas, on Legends of Mile High. Go Broncos. Yeah, thank you for that. And this, I'm going to wrap up the show with this comment from Michael. Michael, you are a great supporter of all of the shows, and we really, really appreciate you. And we appreciate everybody else in Broncos country that takes the time to come in and watch these shows, because we put a lot of effort in these shows. We love these shows, and it's nice to share it with Broncos country and have a back and forth. So, Michael, really appreciate the support. And don't forget to check out the pregame show Saturday night with yours truly and Ron White. We're going to bring the all of the details that you need to know about this upcoming game, injury report, predictions, stats predictions, keys to victory, all of that. So tune in, because it's back for the first time in the last couple of weeks, because Monday night was the game and we weren't the last show. So check that out. And we've got some articles out there. I actually have one out there talking about, changing the plan for this Broncos offseason. If you had asked me 4 weeks ago, would have been a different plan. But this time, I think that they've got a chance to really kind of make some moves and turn this thing into a winner without really tearing it down to the studs. So check that out. Check out the other ones. I know Luke Patterson's got a Keys to Victory coming out. Read that. It's always a good read. So go check that out. Pearl Heater's coming in. Thank you, Thomas, for everything. Ron is great with you. Good show. Yeah, I love doing the show with Ron. It's fun. It's tough on Saturday night. You kind of have to work your weekend around it, but it's very fun. So, and Jeremy Sean's also thanking Michael Ronquillo for supporting all the shows. It benefits us all. So with that, I just want to say thank you and keep up the enthusiasm for the Broncos, especially if you're going to go to the game this Sunday. Be loud, have fun, embrace the winning while we can, because it could stop at any time. So thank you very much. And wait, I'm just going to grab one more. Ernie Mays is coming in late. We're just ending the show, Ernie, but thank you for coming in, saying hello to Thomas. Go Broncos country only. And well, I guess I'm not going to stop it, because Joey LaGuardia is coming in. Anytime you say Tom Nalen, man, I got to talk about him. So I'm going to keep the show going for a little bit longer, because I love Tom Nalen. I think he is so underrated, and his candidacy for the Hall of Fame I've laid out time and time again. If people will listen, if the selectors will listen to what I'm talking about, he should be in the Hall of Fame. So that's a good reminder. Let's talk about Tom Nalen. Go on social media. Talk about Tom Nalen, how good he was. They've already voted, right, for the semifinalists. I think they voted last Friday. And I hope Tom Nalen's in that semifinal list, because more conversation needs to happen about Tom Nalen and his candidacy for the Hall of Fame. The weirdest thing, and my good friend out of Chicago, he's a Hall of Fame guy, Jack Silverstein. He pointed out that to get to the last 5 centers that went into the Hall of Fame, you've got to go back to Jim Langier, I think it was, way back to get to the top 5. But with like wide receivers, you only have to go back to Marvin Harrison. More centers need to be in the Hall of Fame because they're the centerpiece of what makes these offenses work. Nailing for the Hall of Fame. Go talk about it. Let's get it done. So thank you so much, Broncos country. Have a great day, and keep up the enthusiasm.